get into this space where we're doing things just so people could remember us a certain way, appease somebody per se.
And that's not what being a legacy,
Right.
leaving a legacy is about. So here's what I would say. Leaving a legacy is me approaching a conversation with you saying, what can I do to bless you in this?
Yo, my name is Kieran, and this is my co-host, Ken McAnulty, and welcome to One-on-One with PK.
Pre-internet.
You guys use pigeons?
I don't care what you plan.
Because we want them to learn. We want them to grow. You know, I love you. I do want. What is up? My name is Ken, and I get the privilege of being the executive pastor at Arise Church. I am here with my friend
Kieran Emmanuel.
You said that so well.
I know.
You said it with a question at the end.
I did say it with a question.
Are you Emmanuel?
Am I Emmanuel?
I don't know. And he's got the well done hairdo that he was just doing right before we got on, making his hair look all purty. Your hair looks purty, by the way.
That's that Polk County right there. Hair looks purty, boy.
You know, probably the most asked question that I get about our podcast, and this is one-on-one with PK, but the most consistent question I get is, do you guys know what you're going to say before you get up there?
Absolutely not.
We don't even know how we're going to start a lot of times.
Nope. We just stare at each other for the most part, and
Yeah.
something comes out.
Something, yeah.
It may be
Just
weird,
goofballs.
but straight up goofballs. I think that's the beauty about, because that's the whole concept of this podcast. You know what I'm saying? We want it to be natural, organic,
Right.
flowing from the thought and flowing from the heart. So it's real. You know what I mean? Not fake and like inauthentic, but real. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll probably never do that again.
Probably not.
No, I won't do that.
Now, I will give a disclosure. We do talk about kind of the subject, the general idea. So like for this podcast, it was less than a sentence of kind of where we're going.
Right.
But that's it.
That's it.
And then we just kind of dive in and get into it.
Right. And so
All the rest of the stuff is absolutely on the fly. So if we say something that is just awkward and we have these awkward moments, it's because it's natural.
like how I was singing Barney last time.
And I just stared at you because I really didn't know what to say, because that was completely unplanned. I had no clue that he was going to sing Barney. He asked me to pick a song, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. What's the most awkward song? I thought worship songs. Nah. I thought love songs. Nah. Barney. Heck yeah.
Because a lot of our conversations when we have our actual scheduled one-on-ones, if for those that may not know, I am the youth pastor at Arise Church, and Pastor Ken is the executive pastor, and he is my direct up. And we have this system to where we can make sure we're communicating and really getting what we need. And so in our one-on-ones, they're never planned. And so we may come with an agenda, but like it always goes to something
Right.
more educational, something that's needed for that moment.
We're always kind of talking about,
Life.
you know, what are we dealing with in
Yeah.
life?
Mhm.
You know, and right now we're really dealing with this idea of being and leaving a legacy.
Yeah, because moment of transparency, I know you won't mind me sharing this, but you came to the realization that your kids are adults now.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Well, and it really makes you face this idea of what are they becoming, and what have I imparted to them?
right.
What have I left them with? And I mean, I'm not going anywhere, but you know, they're leaving my house soon.
And
In
even
Jesus'
if they're not leaving,
I'm just kidding.
dang, even if they don't leave physically,
Right.
the need for you has diminished dramatically.
Oh yeah.
And so that's like probably something that, man, I know I'm gonna have to face. I am not looking forward to it. I love being needed by my kids, but like you said, what did we impart in them? That's why what we do now, especially in my stage of parenting,
It matters.
it matters.
Yeah.
It matters. And this doesn't even just apply to parents,
Right.
like even school teachers, employees at a
Yes.
job. Like,
Yes.
how do you want to be remembered? As the lazy jerk who didn't do anything, or the kind-hearted, compassionate individual that was always thinking of others before themselves? Like,
Well, and I think too often we get a couple of things mistaken. We get mistaken this identity of either being a legend or being a legacy.
So what's the difference? Because I am legend. Shout out to Will Smith.
Who is an incredible actor.
By far one of the best.
So
After Denzel Washington.
I wasn't trying to compare.
I wasn't either. I was just stating the fact to make sure that it's clear. Like Pastor Brent said a few weeks ago, he's my proverbial dad. I have two amazing fathers. One, my father, my actual biological father, and my father-in-law. But this one is probably over both of them.
Wow.
That's how much I love you, Denzel.
I apologize to you, fathers, if you're watching this.
Denzel, if you're watching this, please,
Kieran really does love you.
please son me.
He loves you a lot.
Make me your son.
He son me. What's the difference between a legend and a legacy? I think when I choose to create a legacy, I'm choosing a life of giving. When I'm choosing to be a legend, I'm choosing a life of making.
Break that down a little bit. So what does it mean to live a life of making?
I'm going to make something of myself. I'm going to force something. It's this idea where I will be this. I will be known as this.
Right.
I will. I think a legend, to be a legend, you have to make it. You have to create it. You have to craft it. It all comes out of your willpower, of how you're trying to reshape everything around you out of your own will.
Right.
Okay. And the reality is, people will remember you. We remember legends.
Mm-hmm.
But is everyone changed because of you? Would be the question I would ask.
That's a good question. And a question that we don't often think about when we make decisions about the direction where we're going.
And that's why I kind of broke it down to this idea
Right.
of make and give. Because here's the thing. It kind of comes to our mindset at the beginning. When we're making these decisions in everyday life, what is your purpose? What is your goal behind that? Are you trying to make something of yourself? Are you trying to form something in this world? Or are you trying to give?
Because, we don't think about, this decision, the way, this attitude that you have right now towards people, don't see how it'll impact 5 years from now. And that's why, it's important. Man, I've always been a big person of, we're believers. And so karma is not the language we use.
Right.
But there is this idea that, hey, what you reap, you
So,
right?
yeah.
And so if I want to make sure that if I'm talking to somebody, if I'm interacting with somebody, it's always in love and kindness. There will
Right.
be moments, obviously, we're human, where it doesn't happen accordingly. But, dude, I want to be always, loving people, because
Right.
I don't want people to view me 30 years from now. Oh, Kieran, that was that jerk. You know what I'm saying?
Or even that was that guy that, man, he did all these great things,
But
what do you mean to somebody?
what do you mean to somebody? That's why I think about when we think of some of these in the Christian world, these big figures that have had these big failures, they still left a legacy. Let me say it this way. They still were a legend, right? Think about it. You have these big names and they've done amazing things for people
Ravi
in the kingdom of
Zacharias,
God. Yeah.
Jimmy Swaggart.
Right.
Yeah.
They done great things. And I don't
Right.
think we can't take away from the legendary of that. But then,
Well, there are portions of their legacy that really are tainted because instead of giving, they've taken.
but they're still, in my opinion, a legend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because nobody could have done what some of these guys have done.
Right. And so let's bring this into this really kind of micro understanding of it. If we look at how we parent our kids, okay? If I look at, and I'll just take my daughter and my son. If I go into my parenting, in my day-to-day decisions with them, with this idea that I'm going to make them into something, okay? Or I'm going to make something of my life so that they can have, I might end up being a legend in their mind. I could become something that's worth talking about, okay? However, if I go into my life with them, trying to impart to them, trying to give to them, to gift to them, then I leave a legacy. What it does when you give, when you make that your lifestyle, that I'm going to give of myself to you, then what happens is I don't just cause you to remember me, I cause you to want to look like me.
Wow, yeah, that's true.
See, Jesus isn't just a legend, and I think some legacies can be legends as well, okay? Jesus isn't just a legend, he was a legacy. Why? Because he gave everything, and he caused his disciples to want to look like him, to want to be like him, to want to live like him.
That's
because
so
he
good.
gave everything.
Yep.
And I think for us, the way that you leave a legacy, and man, we're wrestling through this concept this month of leaving a legacy, is to give. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about this internal idea of when I approach a conversation, am I approaching it to take or to create something of myself, or am I approaching it to give something to you?
That's so good because, like I said, we're not often thinking about that, right? We tend to lead with emotions first. Emotions seem in this generation to be the Uber driver of our actions, our direction, and everything we do. So, like, we have to make sure, like, okay, like, and I think this is something we need to think about, right?
Right.
What kind of legacy am I leaving?
Yeah.
Right? Like if I made this decision, what kind of legacy am I leaving? Even when it comes to people who make poor decisions on, substance abuse and so on and so forth. Like, okay, if I do this, what kind of legacy am I leaving?
Well, and that brings up a great idea, and we're just wrestling through it. We don't have these ideas perfectly planned out.
Absolutely
We're just
not.
kind of thinking about them. We just said legacy, legend. What is it? How do we talk about it? And so, can somebody leave a bad legacy?
Absolutely, everyone leads legacy.
But I think leaving a bad legacy comes from us giving bad things.
Right.
When I impart to you, if I impart abuse to you, then I can leave a bad legacy where you're going to want to abuse those, or you're going to be drawn to abuse those under you.
Right. Because legacy, and this is not the perfect definition, but it's how someone remembers you, right?
Well, I think it goes deeper than a memory.
Right. But
I think a legacy is transferable.
right.
A legend is a memory. A legacy is transferable.
Yeah, because therefore a legend is you remember the things, the
Right.
great things that it did, but legacy is someone like, I'm with you.
Right. So I remember what so-and-so did, but my grandfather passed down a legacy to me.
Right.
Now, he did things, and I remember him for that, but those things, because of what he gave and how he gave, it passed down a legacy to me, and it changed the way that I act. It changed the way that I am. And so what kind of legacy are you leaving?
I want to leave a good one, man.
So how do we do that?
We talked about just paying attention to being more self-aware, right? We always talk about this idea of having solid people around you to help them understand what's it like to be you on the other side. You feel me? Like, I want to know, hey, Ken, what's it like to be me on the other side of me? Like, what's it like to be so on and so forth? So having good people around you to tell you, okay, bro, you need to tighten up, or listen, sis, this is not, proper, or like, hey, look, when you dress like that, you leave this perception. So you don't want people to think that you're blah, 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 blah. I think just being self-aware about that, having solid people around you to do that. But this is the thing, though. We don't want to get into this space where we're doing things just so people could remember us a certain way, appease somebody per se.
And that's not what being a legacy, leaving a legacy is about. So here's what I would say. Leaving a legacy is me approaching a conversation with you saying, what can I do to bless you in this? What can I do in this conversation? What can I say in this conversation? What can I draw out of you that's in you? What can I shut up about so that you can be wise and say the smart thing? It's preferring the other person ahead of myself.
That's a great definition. Preferring the other person ahead of myself.
And when I do that, I think that we leave a good legacy. So when I prefer my daughter ahead of myself, when I put her needs and her desires ahead of me, so that way when I'm communicating with her, I'm not just communicating about what I want to say to her.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, it's not about that, okay?
Don't do that.
It's about me saying to her what she needs to hear, what will be valuable to her.
Right.
So that leaves a legacy in her, because then what happens is now she has something of value that I've passed on to her that she can pass on to others. And so it becomes this legacy. It becomes something that's transferable, that's passed on from generation to generation,
yeah.
whether it be her children or just generation of conversation.
Right.
I'm leaving a legacy in her because I'm not saying something for my benefit. I'm saying something for hers.
Man, bro, especially when it comes to kids, the Bible talks about how train your child up
Right.
in the way that is right, so that, later on they can remember what you've imparted in them and what you've taught them.
And this doesn't mean that we don't discipline, because discipline within itself is giving them, imparting something to them that they need, that they'll be able to pass along. But that discipline has to be done out of their best interest, not my inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
If I discipline out of my inconvenience, that becomes abuse.
And we don't want to be abusive people.
No. When I discipline out of what's best for you and out of your maturity, then that's true discipline. That's godly discipline.
So let me ask you this then. In this stage in your life,
Yeah.
what kind of legacy do you think you've left behind?
I hope that I've left behind a legacy where people feel valued when they sit in front of me.
Mm.
Man, that makes me emotional.
Wow.
Because that's been one of my big goals. I want people to feel valued when they sit in front of me. I want them to feel like I value them, so that they can understand that Christ values them, and so that they can go out and value someone else. That's the first thing that came to mind. What about you?
Oh, dang! I should have thought about this when I asked you. I think for me is I want to be someone that, man, that's a deep question. That's a deep question, because when I asked you, I didn't even think about me. I didn't think you're gonna ask me, but I guess I just want to be a consistent person, meaning, like, I want to be remembered as somebody who's always there for you, regardless of what situation, regardless of time, regardless of what's going on in my life. I want to be remembered, and I try to do that. I try to be, okay, I'm always there for you, and just want to be remembered, like, okay, oh yeah, he was there when I needed him the most, or so on and so forth. And so that's something that I'm trying to do every day.
Yeah.
Trying to be someone who's available.
That requires some intentionality.
A lot of it, because we have a lot of things pulling at us from different angles, a lot of distractions. And so that's why the self-awareness is like, okay, all right, Kieran, today, be there for one person. You know what I mean? Like, when someone does this, be there, like, be all there.
Do you have any other tricks that you use? Say tricks, but any other strategies that you use to help yourself to do that in difficult moments?
So I have this method. Faith it. I use that word because I hate the word faith it till I make it.
Okay.
And so, fake it till you make it type of thing. So, like, sometimes I'm going to be happy, exuberant, energetic, even if I don't feel like it. And I'll walk in a situation, and what happens, it'll change. You know what I mean? It'll be like my feelings will catch up. And so sometimes I'll just kind of like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. Yeah. And that may not be what I'm feeling on inside. Like, you may come around like, hey, Kieran, I'm like, you know what? Let me be aware of what my face looks like. Yo, I'm here. How can I be? And I may not want to be there, but I'm going to faith it until I make it type of thing.
That's good.
And so, and again, I don't want to say fake, because I genuinely want to be there, because, but sometimes I just don't feel like it, or My mind is
sometimes
distracted.
you got to line your body up with where you want to be.
Exactly.
I think that there are a lot of people who make this mistake of feeling like, or expressing this idea that if this is what's going on inside of me, then this is the real me and I'm just going to let it come out.
And this is where our feelings lie to us every single time.
Yes.
They lie to us every single time. And, we have to be able to push past that. Man, I love this topic because I want to be someone who uses my feelings as guides, as I guess guardrails, but not as my GPS, man.
That's good.
I cannot be driven by my feelings because
That's so good.
a lot of things would not happen the way I would want them to happen.
Yeah.
I
don't think you reach your goals if you just let your feelings
if you
dominate.
just exactly.
Yeah.
They're a resource at times.
Right.
They're indicators. They're red flags sometimes, but
Right.
they're not what we drive our life with. And so that's me, man. I'm trying to faith till I make it. And I would suggest people try that. Like, walk into a room if you're not naturally a bubbly person. And I say this: do this within the scope of your character, personality. Don't be completely crazy.
Yeah, me walking into a room with a bunch of people is not where I need to be. Honestly, this is my sweet spot.
And so you may be in a time where you're not feeling it, but
Yeah.
faith it till you make it, bro.
Yeah.
Make me think like you care. Because sometimes I don't know.
Every day.
Do you really? So yeah, just faith it till you make it, man.
I gotcha.
Just
Let
step out there.
me invite our audience to do something. I want to invite you guys to kind of think through this process. What do you want to leave a legacy in? And if you feel so compelled, type it in the comments. Sometimes when we type something out, when we put something on paper, it brings it to life. It brings it to reality. Who do you want to be? What gift do you want to give to those around you? What legacy do you want to leave?
Right.
Put that in the comments, man. Even if you're watching this next month or next year, this is not about us. This is about you. It's about you calling something out of yourself.
Right.
And I think that that's important. And then I also want to encourage you to tell somebody about that, and then faith it till you make it.
Faith it till you make it. Put that in the chat. Faith it till you make it. That's the next album drop. Remember last week we try to do Barney, but now faith it till you make it. Yeah, I said faith it till you make it. Come on, where you at record label? Faith it till you make it. Come on, but dance, PK. No? See, this stuff wasn't planned. This is the stuff that just happens that I don't know why I do this. Yeah.
But it makes it funny.
Does it?
Yeah, we just kind of laugh at you. So it's funny.
Do you laugh at me?
Regularly.
One time we should start the podcast with just whisper.
Whispers. Yeah. You think they would like that? No, me either. Hey guys, we love you.
Love y'all.
And I want to encourage you, leave a legacy, man.
Leave one.
Yeah.
We can do it.
You guys can. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.